Well, it doesn't matter whether it's Sharjah or Dubai, Australia just keep winning, not just winning, they keep winning really big. So they had the better of a depleted Pakistan side, but it's not as though they weren't depleted either, is it?
No, that's right. I guess first things first, Australia are sure they won big, but it possibly came at a cost. They lost 2 players to injury. First one was Healy Vlaeminck. She came in to add a bit of firepower in the bowling, replacing Grace Harris, who was there for firepower with the bat. 4th ball of the match, she hasn't even had a chance to bowl yet. She's fielding at short third, runs to try and stop a boundary. As she's fielding the ball and flicking it back, she sort of reached and sort of rolled over the rope in absolute agony. It turns out she's dislocated her right shoulder, which is her bowling shoulder. They managed to get it back in, but we have to wait and see after scans what the damage is. So, waiting on that. And then Australia seemed to be ticking through a pretty small run chase, and all of a sudden Elisa Healy's running a second and pulls up short, and it turns out she has a foot injury. Hobbled off. It looked pretty bad. She could barely get up the stairs to the change room for treatment, sort of had to really hop up the stairs. So again, we have to wait and see what the outcome of that is. But I guess with Australia, you can say they've got depth to cover both of those things if those players can't play, and they've got options in terms of mixing around their batting lineup and that sort of thing. So I guess we just have to wait and see. That said, it was a very small run chase. Pakistan bowled out for 82. What did you make of their performance today?
Yeah, I've been worried about Pakistan coming into this tournament. I really felt that they were lacking a little something. Today they were lacking 2 things. Fatima Sana, very sadly, the captain, had to return home after the passing of her father. And then Diana Baig, we haven't seen her since she pulled up with some kind of injury. I think it's a calf injury in that first game. And we don't really know when she'll be back. So they lacked enthusiasm, they lacked experience, and they just couldn't seem to get it together. The batting's the real issue. Ali Aria is the only player to score more than 20, no partnerships for more than 20, 5 scores in single figures. They're just not able to put enough together. And much like Sri Lanka, they'll leave this tournament very, very disappointed with what they've done and really needing to go back and think about things, especially as conditions here we thought would suit a Pakistan side. Maybe one spark of joy. The bowler, Sadia Iqbal, was the #1 bowler in the world for about 24 hours, and then she got overtaken. But they're not putting these things together enough. And then Australia, you find a team like that, on the other hand, have got players who just managed to pick themselves up. And I'm thinking particularly of Ash Gardner. She took a 5-for at the last World Cup, sort of middling along, and then suddenly out of nowhere, a 4-for tonight.
Yeah, that's right. And I think she's the third talking point here, and a bright one at that. As you say, a 5-for against, a 5-for in the last World Cup, and then this was her best bowling performance since. She wasn't happy with how she bowled in the power play here. She conceded 7 runs in that. But high standards. But then she came back in what turned out to be the penultimate over and took 3 wickets there. So ended up with 4 for 21, and that is her best figures since in a T20 international since that performance at the last World Cup. So that was a bright spark for them. That said, Australia are well aware they're going to face a sterner test against India. So again, like she was sort of saying, I know that I'm going to have to do even more, and they've now got to do even more, possibly with less, depending on what happens with those 2 injuries we mentioned. So we just have to wait and see what solutions they manage to find.
So some great cricket coming up, and we'll bring that to you all on ESPN Cricinfo.